your extended forecast.
Welcome to the Tropical Update here at the Weather Channel, and we do have something going on in the Atlantic, or actually the Gulf of Mexico tonight, a tropical storm. Yeah, it sprung up pretty quickly, and it's actually already made landfall south of New Orleans. We'll talk about that, and we'll also look at the rest of the tropics. We'll start off with the big picture here and show you that aside from that, really not much going on. The tropical Atlantic here, the stretch between Africa and the Leeward and Windward Islands, very quiet. That big subtropical high still pretty far to the south. Not much coming off of Africa at the present time, so it looks like that is going to be quiet. We're still watching an area of disturbed weather, a little low pressure center off the coast of South Carolina. That could cause some problems down the road, but right now we're okay on it. But where we're not okay is in the northern Gulf of Mexico. Look at this right here. Yeah, this is Tropical Storm Bertha. Sprung up during the day on Sunday, is already on shore here south of New Orleans. Here's the details. As of 1 a.m. Central Time, centered 35 miles south-southeast of New Orleans, 29.6 north, 89.8 west, if you like to plot it along. Top winds, 40 miles an hour, so barely a tropical storm at this point. Winds are rather moving west-northwest at 8 miles an hour with an estimated central pressure of 1010 millibars. And the tropical storm warnings that are up, very narrow in aerial coverage. Mouth of the Mississippi around to Pascagoula. This thing is not going to be a big problem in terms of wind. It's more of a rain producer than anything else. Here's the radar picture. You'll see it is producing a fair amount of rain right now. Here along the Mississippi coast, especially Pascagoula, Biloxi, over to Gulfport, past Christian, Bay St. Louis, and coming over towards Slidell. New Orleans, you picked up some showers, but most of the heavier stuff has remained to your north. And the highest wind gusts I've really seen a little bit above 30 miles an hour at lakefront here in New Orleans in the last hour or so. So I'll keep checking back and letting you know through the night if anything stronger comes out there. But again, this is not a big wind producer. The center fairly broad right here southeast of New Orleans, and it's drifting off. Looks like it'll pass south of New Orleans, so the winds in New Orleans should stay basically northeastward and then gradually kick around to the east. And then as the storm passes off to your west, we'll see them come around more to a southeasterly direction. Now, with those winds coming in from that direction, we could see a little pile up of water. Coastal flood watches up from the South Pass of the Mississippi River around to Destin. So watch out here, especially around Lake Pontchartrain, the Mississippi Sound. Could have some minor coastal flooding to contend with. And some flood watches up for the heavy rains here at the northeastern corner of Louisiana, at least the well, you know, I mean, this northeastern corner as opposed to this one up here farther north by Arkansas, but the one bordering Mississippi and along the Mississippi Gulf Coast, that's where we see the flood watches posted at the present time. Let's look at the rest of the tropics here a bit. We'll head over to the eastern Pacific, and there's a little area of disturbed weather way to the south-southwest of Cabo San Lucas that we're watching, but right now nothing's spinning up out of that, though it's possible it could spin up. We'll have to watch this. And then coming over to the western Pacific, we do have Tropical Storm Kamuri. Here, forecast to move inland to the east of Hong Kong. Mostly a rain producer, not too strong in the way of winds, but fairly slow moving. So if those rains really rain down on the mountainous terrain here, we could see some flooding problems along the coast of China. So we'll have to watch this carefully. All right, so there we go. We've covered the tropics. Let's come back into the U.S. now. And again, there's Bertha, south of New Orleans right now. Again, not a huge problem in terms of wind, but could have some problems in terms of rain and maybe some minor coastal flooding. Also wanted to come up into the Midwest where we still have some strong storms rumbling here. Northwestern Iowa, moving away from the Missouri River now, heading toward the 35 corridor. Still some rumbles around. Haven't seen any warnings out with these recently, so there's a bit of good news. And then as we head in toward the center of Nebraska, really seeing things die down now with this line, but when it blasted through North Platte, man, it had some winds to it, 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts. And if you look closely, very interesting here, notice it almost looks like a counterclockwise rotation right here. There was a mesocyclone with this that
expect fair skies Wednesday through Friday with temperatures in the 70s on Wednesday.
Good morning. It's now 10 minutes before the top of the hour, and as always at this time, it is time for the tropical update. And the big weather story today continues to be Tropical Storm Bertha, which is milling around very close to the city of New Orleans. Now, from our satellite perspective, we can see that this is a rather broad area of low pressure, rather poorly defined, but the center of circulation very close to the swamps in southern Louisiana. And we do see some very heavy convection, though, in association with this tropical storm, with some of the heaviest rainfall right now occurring in southeastern Louisiana and across southern Mississippi. Now, at this point, here's the latest information that we have on Tropical Storm Bertha. It is still packing winds of nearly 40 miles per hour, moving ever so slowly off to the northwest at about 3 miles per hour. Again, it's not a very powerful system, so the winds are really not the biggest concern that we have with this tropical storm. Instead, the biggest concern will be very heavy rainfall, and we have flash flooding taking place right now across the northern Gulf. At this point, a reminder that tropical storm warnings continue from the mouth of the Mississippi back over through Pascagoula, Mississippi. And again, very heavy rains in association with this system. We've had some localized flooding in Jackson County, Mississippi, back through St. Tammany Parish in Louisiana. And the flash flood watches continue through later this afternoon. From our radar perspective, very heavy rain right now just north of New Orleans, right around Lake Pontchartrain. And again, the warnings continue for St. Tammany Parish. We've actually had some flooding being reported for the city of Slidell. More heavy rains, though, lifting over towards the Gulf Coastal region here in Mississippi. And we've actually had showers and thunderstorms curling back towards the Florida Panhandle. Even Pensacola reporting some thunder showers. So again, more heavy rain likely in this area through this afternoon. Now, outside of Bertha, though, another area of concern is a low-pressure system 2 situated just off the Carolina shoreline. It has not developed into anything, but we'll have to watch that area, too, for the potential for some development. And the rest of the Caribbean, fine shape this morning. Pretty quiet, too, across the eastern Atlantic. And as we head over towards the Pacific, we've had a few areas of disturbed weather well off the Mexican shoreline. And lastly, we head over towards the western Pacific where we have a tropical storm. Right now it's producing very heavy rains just east of Hong Kong, and more heavy rain likely through tonight, through tomorrow as well through this general area. That's a look at the tropics. Now let's head back to the States with Nick.
Where we are watching, Cheryl, 2 areas of possible severe weather as we get through the afternoon hours. One here from the Ohio Valley into the northeast, another one back toward Montana. But this morning, the thunderstorms located right along this stalled out front in the center of the nation, from Nebraska into Iowa, even portions of Illinois still seeing some showers too. Des Moines, it is you have escaped it so far. It's mostly to your north and to your west and east where you're seeing the heavy rain. Heavy rain from Sioux City toward Fort Dodge could inundate Interstate 35. Back toward Omaha, still some heavy rain falling too. Moline, Illinois, it is heavy rain headed your way. Chicago, you're basically out of the heavy rain, most of it southward and westward, where at least an inch could fall here, of course, portions of Iowa. Severe weather on into the northeast expected as we get through the afternoon hours. Right now, just a few showers through Albany down into the northern sections of Pennsylvania. Cheryl?
Stay with First Outlook through the next hour as we continue with the very latest on Tropical Storm Bertha. It does have the potential to dump very heavy amounts of rainfall on New Orleans. Heat also is a major problem. At 6:01, we'll run down who has a heat warning or heat advisory. New York City, Washington, D.C., and Kansas City are just a few locations in question. Much of the nation's farmland is suffering from heat. At 6:21, we'll show part of the country where farmland is underwater. And at 6:52, time is running out for adventurer Steve Fawcett to challenge nature and set another record in air travel.
A few showers and thunderstorms moving through Cleveland this morning, but a better looking day later.
First Outlook is sponsored by Wachovia Securities. Together we can achieve uncommon results.
What can a canoe teach us about partnership? You cover more distance when you work in tandem. What can handlebars teach us about leadership? Stability is crucial. And what can we learn about trust from a diner? You're better off with those that have been around a while. Wisdom is everywhere. Uncommon wisdom is knowing how to apply it. We're Wachovia Securities. Our eyes are always open to new ways of helping thousands of growing companies and millions of individual investors. Talk to us. Because when we take all that you know and add all that we've learned, we can achieve uncommon results. Wachovia Securities.
Want laundry as fresh as the mountain air? Try Sierra, the fabric softener with...
Hi there. Want the bugs out fast? Call the man. Your Orkin man. At 1-800-800...
Just a few hours ago in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Other portions of the Gulf drew drenching rains. Pascagoula, Mississippi has gotten 6 inches of rain. In fact, closer to 6 1/3. For the latest on Bertha, we turn now to our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. Dr. Lyons, any changes, say, between now and, say, about an hour ago, or does it look about the same?
Well, the rainfall looks about the same, but the system continues to weaken as it moves to the north-northwest. Let's look at the satellite image, and I'll show you where the center is. It's basically right where the low pressure is. And we see dry air spiraling around the west side, and that's why we have very little in the way of showers on the west side of the circulation. And converging air along this very heavy rain band that's been plaguing the Mobile, Alabama area and on toward the east in the extreme western portions of the Florida Panhandle the last 4 to 6 hours. The final advisory has been written on this, and we expect the system to continue to weaken. But keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a very strong system to produce flooding rains. Now, those winds of 30 miles per hour remain offshore in the heavy rain showers and gusts. We don't see any sustained winds that strong. The circulation center roughly right in this area here as it moves off to the north-northwest. But here's the heavy rain band that we're been most concerned about. The good news is that heavy rain band is pushing to the east, almost like a squall line, right toward the Fort Walton Beach and Destin area right now. You're getting heavy rain. But that's good because it's not training where the rain showers are moving over the same area continuously. So the rain is spreading off to the east, and that's sharing the wealth a little bit. So expect heavy rain the next 6 to 12 hours over those portions, but nothing that's going to produce massive flooding. Now we have another area of interest. This is a low pressure system off the east coast of the United States. Circulation center is probably about in here based on the radar information and on the satellite image. The good news is the circulation is offshore and the winds are not too strong along the coast. The bad news is it's co-located with deep thunderstorms, and because of that, the hurricane hunters will be out there later this afternoon, and this has the potential to become our next tropical depression. Now, where's it going to go? Well, we think this system, whether it develops or not, will slowly slide to the southeast and then basically off to the northeast and remain offshore. But that scenario is going to take time to unfold, so we want you to make sure you monitor the situation very carefully. The Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean Sea, both relatively quiet. We do have a shower band moving into the Lesser Antilles, and that's going to produce some rain overnight with some winds of about 25 miles per hour behind it, but only sunny weather behind it, nothing developing out in the Central Atlantic, which is great news there. And if you're heading toward the Mexican Riviera, only isolated thunderstorms in the afternoon. The low pressure center well offshore continues to move away from the coast of Mexico, which is good news. So keep updated on that system off the southeast coast. Let's get back to Bob Stokes now.
Thank you, Dr. Lyons. Severe weather threatens Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh today as the Canadian front slams into all that heat that's been building up. Over the weekend, we've had those excessive heat warnings in effect, for example. Well, the Canadian boundary is coming down and uplifting that air. Also, severe weather threatens portions of Montana, too, that same Canadian boundary, plus with that monsoon moisture coming on up. You can see now the outline of that front stretching from Iowa, where we have rain. It's been pounding the pavement around Des Moines the past few hours at least, and that stretches across the mid-Atlantic region, say between New York City and Washington. There's a look at our two centers of low pressure, one of which is Tropical Depression Bertha, affecting the central Gulf Coast. Now, taking a look at Bertha, again, heavy amounts of rain, Pascagoula over 6 inches. Still some rains coming down, affecting vacationers along the Florida Panhandle, and as Dr. Lyons mentioned, we'll monitor this spin off of the Carolina coast for any possible tropical development. In the meantime, rain remains a big threat. We could pick up several more inches with this feeder band, if you will, this band of rain coming up, well disjointed from the center, which is over southeastern Louisiana. So there's our perspective in terms of storms, both centers, southeastern coast, Gulf Coast. Rain coming down now. The good news is north of this boundary, we've got a Canadian high providing temperature relief. In the meantime, the potential for storms
in eastern Ohio, stretching into Pennsylvania today as we've got unstable air. There's the monsoon moisture keeping on across much of the west. That's a check of Storm Watch. Stay tuned for your local on the 8s.
This program was brought to you by Suzuki. Visit your Suzuki dealer today or call 1-877-MY-SUZUKI.
America's best finance offer meets America's best warranty. Introducing Suzuki 0017 event. 0% APR financing for 5 full years with 0 down payment on all new Suzuki models. And it only gets better. Now all Suzukis have a 100,000-mile, 7-year powertrain limited warranty. It's a combination that can't be beat. 0% financing for 5 years and 0 down payment on all models, plus the protection of Suzuki's 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Suzuki, America's best financing offer and warranty. Move fast to your local Suzuki dealer today.
Visit your Suzuki dealer today or call 1-877-MY-SUZUKI.
Tired of spending too much time chopping vegetables? Fed up with those complicated food processors? Wish you could spend more time dining and less time whining? Well, now you can. Introducing the Quick Chop, the fast and easy way to chop, mince, slice, and dice with just a tap. Look, place your favorite vegetable under the Quick Chop, give it a tap, and you've got finely shredded cabbage for delicious coleslaw. Tap again and chop carrots and celery in an instant for a tasty stir fry. Or add potatoes for one-tap home fries the kids will love. Hey, garlic can be a pain to prepare, but not with the Quick Chop. You can even leave the peel on. Just give it a tap. Easily remove the peel, and you're left with fresh garlic, peeled, chopped, and ready to use. Amazing. Here's the magic. The second you
heat it up. And joining us now with the very latest on a brand new tropical depression is our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons. Steve?
You're right, Jeff. We have tropical depression number 3, and it's off the Carolina coastline right now. But let me show you the remnants of our ex-tropical storm Bertha here. You can see the circulation still meandering slowly to the west. The circulation had a big band of heavy rain coming into the Florida Peninsula and into the Mobile area. That band just poofed as soon as the circulation weakened, and that is going to continue to be the trend. As this low moves to the west, it's going to weaken dramatically and is no longer a threat to become a tropical system anymore. Now here's our new tropical depression number 3 found by the hurricane hunters this afternoon. Winds 35 miles per hour, and the direction of motion is toward the east-southeast, which is basically this direction at about 6 miles per hour. And basically what's going to happen as we look at the system on the satellite imagery, circulation centers roughly in here. High pressure to the north is going to come down and push it basically to the south-southeast or east-southeast, and then it's going to be picked up by a frontal boundary, so it's going to come down here, not as a high pressure center, but as a low pressure center, and then move off to the northeast as it's absorbed by the frontal boundary. So we'll continue to monitor this. Right now it is expected to become a tropical storm overnight or tomorrow sometime, but we don't expect it to reach hurricane strength. There you can see it spinning, and right now the impact of the coast are minor showers coming along the Carolina coastline. But over time, if it does become a storm, we could see increased surf along the North Florida coastline as well. Now the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, we have great weather tonight, and we have a little weak tropical wave moving into the Lesser Antilles with showers moving there. It's going to be windy behind it, but nothing downstream in the Central Atlantic and the East Pac is clear. So here's Jeff.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Steve Lyons. We haven't been concentrating a lot on what's going on out here in Colorado, but I'm getting more and more reports of flash flooding going on, even right on up into the mountains up there near Vail Pass. Reports of as much as 6 inches of water, standing water on Interstate 70. Folks, trying to drive through that, you'll stall your car out. You could hydroplane very easily. That could definitely cause some big problems here. Water just pouring off the mountainsides as we have some big thunderstorms, not only in the mountains, but down around the Denver metropolitan area as well. This is all generally moving south to north, and you can see the lightning that is coming out of all these storms really clustering around central and northern Colorado from Denver west and northwest on up into the mountains, up into Summit County. Other big thunderstorms in Old Mexico and right on up along the New Mexico and Arizona border, and even as far north as eastern Wyoming. And a few lightning strikes now coming in here in western Montana, where we think there may be more severe weather. So a lot going on in the west. As we head to the east, we have a couple of severe thunderstorm watches that include the Washington, D.C., Richmond, and Baltimore areas. We'll start on the western periphery, where you can see some storms. They really haven't congealed into a big squall line, but they are scattered about here across Indiana, Ohio. Moving south of Pittsburgh now, you're seeing about the worst of it, and it'll continue to move to your south as the cold front does. And we have some big storms. They're very isolated, though, in western Massachusetts and on into Connecticut, This is probably one of the bigger ones here, moving south of Scranton. Nothing threatening the New York City area at the present time. But again, as you head a bit farther to the south, we've had some rain, particularly on the south side of Baltimore. No thunder and lightning in that per se. And the big storm that had been up near Bethesda fell apart. But some of that rain is moving through the D.C. area, so kind of messing up the end of the rush hour here. It's definitely wet on the Beltway. And here's a look at some of those big storms moving northbound. Heavy rain, as I mentioned, near Vail and out on Interstate 70, and some big thunderstorms moving just by the east side of the Denver metropolitan area. Out near the airport, reported some hail at the airport. That's going to cause lots of delays, obviously, flying in and out of Denver. And even in the downtown area, we're getting some heavier rain as well. The other big story is the change coming to the east as far as temperatures. More on that in a moment.
Tired of spending too much?
My husband called about 4 in the morning, and it's hard to describe that. In many ways, I felt like, in some ways, I felt like we were saying goodbye. I mean, it was that serious.
Dan Goldenberg is a research meteorologist at the National Hurricane Center Research Division in Miami, Florida. He studies hurricanes and is used to flying through them. But none of that could prepare him for what happened to him and his family during Hurricane Andrew. It all started a few hours before landfall with the birth of his 4th child, daughter Pearl.
I really decided Barbara was okay in the hospital. The hospital was a very strong structure. I went home to be with the children.
Benjamin, Joseph, Aaron.
I remember getting inside and thinking, gee, it's nice to be prepared, nice to be safe. Vividly remember that feeling.
Hi, Daniel, say hi. See, at the beginnings of Andrew, this is just one little squall. We have much more to go. So anyway, this is just 8 o'clock at night.
6 hours later, Stan realized he was no longer just going to watch the storm.
You can see it's just about over us.
He was going to be part of it.
3:45 in the morning, Miami time. You can see the radar picture. This is the most intense part of the hurricane right here. And we are located about right here. We will probably get the eye pass right over us.
We just hunkered down because it was getting worse and worse and worse.
The power is out, so I don't know if you can see anything, and we can hear things start to fly around up there. I'm sure we're approaching hurricane force winds. Oh, it's coming. Okay.
And when the eye wall hit, it was like someone just took a big gearbox and just revved it right up.
In the hallway of the Goldenberg house, winds outside, I think, are at least 100, 110 miles an hour or more. We lost the plywood on the front window.